welcome back to Old School. Today we're kind of in all over. I'm not a resolution kind of gal. I typically tend to try to kind of evaluate my life as I'm going through the year, maybe kind of quarterly assess, and if there's something that crops up that needs a course correction, just get in there and do that because it's some cases several months could really get you off course farther than you really want to be. So I try to do that as I go along. However, sometimes your vision and your goals and your best laid plans, when the holidays come along and you're with family and friends, I mean, you can get derailed a bit. Maybe not a huge degree, but you can have some things get derailed because you're going to spend a little more. You're going to eat some things that might be off of the typical menu for you, and that's okay. That's nothing to get beat up over, and that's certainly just allowing yourself those life experiences, because I value experiences over collecting stuff any day of the week. But I do want to be a good steward of each of the areas of my life: the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And as I said, like to kind of do those course corrections if things crop up that I'm needing to learn, I'm needing to value, or if I just have an awesome lesson come along that somebody else learned. I try to be good about that. I have a saying that my daughter could finish for me. A smart man learns from his own mistakes, but a wise man learns from others. And so if I get those opportunities, I snatch those up most of the time. I can't say I haven't learned many, many, many hard lessons at this mature age. um, but so that being said, the last holiday being New Year's, you have kind of group parties and whatever you do. The new year is a good time to go ahead and course correct and really kind of set out a new vision for that particular year or time period, even if it's just for the first quarter of the year. So I try to do some things that get me lined back up with what I've been trying to do. I've really spent the last 6 months probably really looking into healing and detox and restoration at the cellular level, which I believe doesn't just help me fix some things physically, but helps me with the emotional and the mental and financial probably too, because the less ill you are or the better health you're in, the less you're going to have to pay on that end of things. So really kind of across the board. I'm a pretty healthy person. I am on no prescription drugs. Have no diagnosed conditions. I did just have the surgery. There was a little bit of a uterine cancer scare, but it ended up being just that certain hormones were a little higher, and so certain things take place when that happens. Well, after a little drill down, because I'm kind of a science geek, several people had kind of said, well, there was nothing you could do about it, or nothing you did, like smoking or this, that, or the other, that caused some other situations. I don't know that that was necessarily true. I think that if my cells were unable to process the hormones I'm producing, then they're going to be in surplus in my system if they're not being utilized properly, just like any other nutrients. So I'm not saying that I necessarily caught or anything. I'm just saying that the processes of my body could have contributed to them not being processed well. And, so those are the circumstances I went through. Praise the Lord, it was all benign, but still caused me to take another look. And I like to do that. I like to make those shifts. I like to know that whatever I'm putting in or on my body is being utilized, and that if anything in it is toxic, well, then I want to deal with that too. And so in this process, I have learned a lot about the toxins that will shut down our cell receptors, and I've been trying to little by little eliminate those as I've been going along. And I can do another class where I get a little more detailed into that, into what I have found. I do like following Dr. Pompa, Dr. Cole. I follow a Dr. Mindy Pelz on intermittent fasting, and she goes into a lot of the cell health as well. Getting yourself in fasting to a place called autophagy, where your cells are healing themselves. So I've really kind of been drilling down and trying to understand all of that, and all of it is frankly a lifestyle I'm comfortable with. I've kind of been doing whatever form of keto and intermittent fasting anyway, and this is really about being more into a whole food than, um, things that are packaged or processed. They really do want you to kind of lean into the organic as much as you can, or do what you can to get the pesticides and things off of your food, which I'm looking into some of those right now, those little gadgets that you can stick in the water with your produce and get rid of a bunch of stuff. I think that those seem cool. And I'll find out which one I think is gets the best consumer rating, but also works the best for me, and I'll let you know about all of that too. But all of that I've been kind of drilling down on as my kind of goal for the new year. During the holidays, I will have some wine, I'll have a cocktail, and that is a toxin that I'm adding in. But, there are so many others in regard to our cleaning products and our beauty products and all that stuff. And I don't know if I can get rid of all of it. I don't know. But I'm looking into whatever I can do to make sure that I'm being a really good steward of my health, and how your body not breaking down the nutrients that you take in really impacts your anxiety levels and your mental focus and your brain fog, and all of that really kind of puts being a good steward across the board into the picture. I want to be able to process things and not react and have my emotional awareness. I want to have mental clarity. I don't feel like there's in my family any kind of mental deterioration as far as a genetic situation, but I don't want to be doing things to my body that could cause it, environmentally, or just, be the new generation that starts that. So those are the kind of things I look at as I'm heading into a new year. What my daughter and I started several years back doing what we called adding and subtracting, adding in things in every area that are beneficial, that are kind, that are loving, that are good to our body, our environment, to our relationships, and subtracting the things that aren't. And it's really been a really cool kind of self check. It's my own little physical, if you will, at the beginning of the year to kind of say, how did I do? How did I do in my relationships? How did I do in regard to being a good steward of myself? I'm my creator created me. He knows the beginning from the end of what's going to happen and go down for me. And I want to be a good steward of what he did. He created me beautifully and wonderfully, and I want to take care of that. I also want to take care of the relationships that he's put around me, the provision in the form of the financial and physical provision of food and a home and a vehicle. And so just making sure that I'm doing the good things for all of those things. I'm going to have some things done around my house because, man, when you buy a house, it's everything's so wonderful, but it becomes a money pit. From the day you sign that mortgage, it's a money pit. I mean, there's always something going on, always something. Usually the air conditioner or the water heater, things that are a little expensive, but you've got the other little things like, the paint and just little things that just are constantly needing upkeep and maintenance. Your yard, the pool, whatever it might be. So I like to get a good checklist, take a tour around my house, kind of write down all the things, even the things that would be more of a wish than a need. I do the same for my physical health. I do the same for my job, for my vehicle, and just kind of have those out there, knowing that those are the things that are going to help me stay a good steward, that are going to add the positive and eliminate the negative, the things I may be doing that aren't good for each of those things. So that's kind of how I am in regard to resolutions. I mean, I just feel like if it comes up and it's July, that you don't wait till January to fix something. When it comes to your health, it can be really dramatic if you do that, if you wait too long. If something is happening and it doesn't seem right, and we've been given the Holy Spirit, but we've also been given an innate kind of thought process about how our body operates. When you go to the doctor, he asks you a bunch of questions that when you answer them, then he makes his diagnosis. Well, you can ask yourself those questions and just kind of go, this seems off. This has never happened before, or the last time this happened, I had X, Y, or Z. So I just try to, stay up on those things. Google crap if you have to, like about, if your car's doing something that doesn't seem just right, or, stuff like that. So I think you need to do them as you're going along, but I do think that a new year and especially just, after the holidays have passed, you can now, realign your finances, you can realign your health, and your, stop pushing off your gym sessions for this party or that, and get back on course. And in that sense, okay, yeah, I'll do a resolution, I'll call it a resolution, but I'm usually planning it out in November and December, and that way I'm situated. That the beginning of January comes, and I'm not just now trying to refill my supplements, or get the proper food in my fridge, or do whatever it is I might need to do. I'm ramped up and ready to go the first day after New Year's is done. So that's how I look at resolutions. That's how I look at making the corrections or setting the vision and the goals for myself. And then I like to check in on it at least quarterly. If something crops up, obviously it's going to force me to check off more often. But if it comes quarterly, I think that's a reasonable amount of time to fix something. If something has gone awry financially, or something is not feeling right physically, I think that's not out of line, to get yourself back on track, get yourself back on your goals and your vision, and not be too shattered, and not beat yourself up over it either. That's what life's about. We want to live, we want to have those experiences, we want to have happiness and joy. This doesn't need to be a drudge. Life doesn't need to be a drudge. And doing the right things and doing good things for both yourself and your relationships and your family doesn't have to be a bad thing. I mean, and routine gets a bad rap, but there's something to be said for having the routine of doing the things that help us stay healthy and strong. And even if you put on your calendar things like maintaining those friendships and those relationships, there's nothing wrong with that. I would rather have a friend reaching out to me that maybe wrote it on a calendar than one who never does. And so that's the kind of things, I like to try and have, like my prayer list, each week. There's days that are for each of my friends, there's days that's for work, there's days that's for the ministries I'm involved in. So I don't think there's anything wrong with having a little bit of routine, a little bit of your vision being cast and written down. So that's how I look at resolutions, and that's what I'm looking toward as we're ending out this year and heading into the new year. And I hope that can be inspirational to you to think about it that way. If you'd like to see some of the templates I use to kind of get myself situated, I'd be more than happy to do that. I even have somewhere, I have to find it, I just know it by heart because I have photographic memory, of the list of additions and subtractions that we first looked at. And it was so cool because it kind of went room by room, but it also went area of life by area of life, and it was really an awesome little thing. So if you like the idea of some of this and you'd like to reach out in the comments, be more than happy to, as you send me a DM or a comment, and I'll send it over to you. And you can kind of use that as inspiration. It doesn't have to be a must do, but it can just be something that helps you kind of create your own template and your own guideline for the things that you'd like to set your vision for in the new year. So anyway, if you like all of this and you'd like to see it keep coming, and I'm going to drill down a little bit on some of the other science that I'm looking into for the cellular health, and I'll do a class on that in the physical coming up soon. So click on the like, click on the subscribe, leave a message. I love any kind of engagement, and I love that if I'm having an impact, I'd like to hear and know that you like what's happening here. So thank you for coming to class, and see you in the new year. Class dismissed.